be y minus negative 1/2, or y plus a half, equals negative 5, and then x minus 9. Okay, so we're going to start at 9. So 9 comma negative 1/2. It's okay that it's in between. We can kind of approximate 9 negative 1/2. Right? That was the point. Now the slope was negative 5/1. So I'm going to count. So if I'm at negative 1/2, I'm going to go by, right, that's down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 1. So it's going to be at negative 5.5. Like there. Right? Like if I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. So it should be at 10 comma negative 5.5.
So the numerator is how much vertical.
Wait, and then
denominator is
where's the top one? Like right near like this.
Well, 9 comma negative 1/2. So we go over to 9, and then we just put it right between 0 and negative 1. Olivia?
On the test, like if we have a half and it's like, because this you have to put a dot, it's not gonna look like it's on the half. Is that okay? Even though we try to graph?
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you also explain the 9 and the 1/2? So can you go over 1
Yeah. You'll still end up with the same graph. That would be fine. Okay. Now we're working backwards. So I give you the graph, and I want you to figure out what's y equals mx plus b. So think. So first thing, we should be. Yeah, well, what is b in this case? 5. And so just like we did yesterday, we're going to just count from, I'm going to count from this point
How do you know it's
It's gonna
to
be
this
an
one?
Oh, it's the 1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to count. It looks like it goes down 8 units. And then over to the right, 6. So my slope, right, would be, we want to reduce that to negative 4/3. So it's y equals negative 4/3 x plus 5. Okay. All right, how about b? So let's see, that point there looks like b. Can we see what b is equal to? Looks like 7. And then I gave you 2 points down here. So what would the slope be based on those 2 points? 3/1. Good. So m.
Y equals 3x plus 7.
Good. Y equals 3x plus 7. Good. Any questions on those? Good. Okay. All right. Now we have a little bit more to figure out. I'm going to ask you to write the equation in slope-intercept form with the given conditions. So if it says it passes through 3, 2, and negative 1, 5, if I want slope-intercept form, I have to figure out 2 things. I have to figure out slope and the y-intercept, which I don't have either one in this case. So
then you just need 1 set.
So why don't we do slope first?
Yeah, which is the
Okay, so we'll do, so it's going to be 5 minus 2, negative 1 minus 3. So 3/-4.
So negative.
Good. Okay. Now, there's 2 different ways we can solve for this. We can start with point slope form and solve for y, or, so I'm going to actually show you 2 different ways, and you can pick which way you're more comfortable with. Okay, so let's do it one way, where I'm going to use y equals mx plus b, And then 2, I'm going to use y minus y1. Okay. So you're probably more familiar with the first one, but I'm going to also show you the second one, which I prefer. So I know what M is, but I don't know what B. And I have 2 different points. So I'm going to use one of those 2 points and substitute in for X and Y. Does it matter which one?
No.
Nope. I'll use the first one because I don't have any negatives. So I'm going to replace 2 with Y. I'm going to replace M with negative 3/4. So I'm substituting everything in except for B. Okay, now what? I get negative 9/4. And then we have to add that. Okay, so if I have 2,
Oh, so you're just solving for B.
yeah, so if I have 2 and I want to add 9/4, what would I'd have to find a common denominator. So I'd multiply by, so I have 8/4 plus 9/4.
15 over 16.
17/4.
No. I'm forgetting basic addition.
Okay. And then now I'm not done. I just need to write the equation. So now that I have M, I could write y equals negative 3/4 x plus 17/4.
You care that it's like a whatever fraction? It's 17/4.
No, in fact, I prefer improper fractions. Okay, I'm going to show you the other way.
You said you prefer the second one.
I prefer the second way. I actually see students make less mistakes if they start with point slope form. It's going to be the same idea, but I'm going to use the same. I'm going to do y minus 2 equals negative 3/4 x minus 3. It's actually the same amount of work. So if I want to put this, so that's how you'd write the point slope form, right? If I want to put it in y equals mx plus b, what am I going to do? I'm going to distribute and then solve for y.
Oh,
And then it's all done. Then it's done for you. So I don't have to like go back and plug things in. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you start with point slope form, so I have negative 3/4 x plus 9/4. And now if I just add 2, which we already did that work here, we get negative 3/4 x plus 17/4.
Oh. There's less steps.
It's the same amount of computation, if you will. It's just a different way to do it, okay?
I like the second one.
I like the second way too. I just know most middle school teachers teach it the first way. So sometimes you're used to that. So I'm going to start showing you the second method. Okay, now what if we have the x-intercept is 3 and the y-intercept is negative 2? X-intercept means it's 3, 0, right? The y would be 0. And if it's a y-intercept of negative 2, right?
Plug it into the second one.
Well, let's find slope first, and then we can plug it into the second. So what would the slope be? Negative 2 minus 0 over 0 minus 3. Right, negative over negative, so we get positive.
Oh, in this case, we should do the first one because we
Ah,
need the y-intercept.
In this case, what's the y-intercept?
-2.
But what letter is it in the formula?
B.
B. So you can either do y equals mx plus b this time, or you can do the second one. It doesn't matter.
You just plug it in.
Yeah, the first one is easier for this one.
But if you like plugged everything in, would you get?
Yep. Okay. So C and D, same thing. So first, figure out what M is. So let's see, negative 2 minus 1 over negative 1 minus 5. So negative 3 over negative 6 reduces to what? A half. Okay, so I'm going to use my y minus y1. I'm going to use the second method just to show you again how really it's pretty easy. Does it matter which point I use? Which one? 5, 1? It doesn't matter. So if I have y minus 1 equals 1/2 times x minus 5. Remember, if you have it in point slope form, all you need to do is distribute and then add or subtract. Yes, I gave you fractions. I know. But you're just going to leave it 5/2.
But then plus 1.
Plus 1. So if I add 1 to both sides, that's really like adding 2/2. So we get y equals 1/2 x minus.
But then a decimal would be easier for this one, like when you're distributing.
Oh, if you're actually graphing
Wait,
it?
why is it?
Is that what you mean, or?
Yeah, because like you could do a 1/2 times -5, so
Oh.
2.5. And then
That's
that
fine.
makes it
That's fine.
less.
Question?
Why is it? You said plus 2.
I just wrote it 1 is 2/2, so I have a common denominator.
How do you find the x-intercept?
You make y equal to 0.
What? Oh,
Okay. Now, if it's perpendicular to this line, do you remember what's the slope of this line? It's 2, so it's going to be
Negative 1/2.
negative 1/2. So again,
flip it and change the sign.
Yeah, when it's perpendicular.
yeah, so take the 2, keep change, right, like, so it's flip it, but you also have to change it from negative. So I am going to, again, I'm going to do method this one. So I'm going to do y minus 1 equals negative 1/2, and then x minus negative 5. Actually, it's very similar to the last one, isn't it? Just with the negative. So y minus 1 equals negative 1/2 x. It turns out to be the same y-intercept as the last one, doesn't it?
Negative 1. Yeah.
Except, yeah, so it almost looks the same, but this is a negative. What do we think? Okay?
Remember?
You remember?
Yeah.
How many of you never did point slope form before? Really? Okay. You think you did?
I know, I don't think I
We're conflicting.
I've done it.
I don't
Pretty
think, I don't
easy.
think we did
I
last
enjoy
year.
it.
It is pretty easy. I agree. So again, starting out with this, you could just plug in your values, your slope, solve for y, okay? Now, this one is going to be parallel to this line. So we're going to keep the same slope. So we want a slope of 2/3. So this time I have y minus negative 6 equals 2/3 x minus 3. Okay, so go ahead and distribute. Sure. Yeah, what would 2/3 times a minus 3 be?
-2.
Yeah, just a minus 2 because these would cancel.
It's minus.
So this one actually works out nicer. Right? What do we get? Y equals 2/3 x.
Plus 2.
Minus.
Wait,
Y equals 2/3 x minus 8.
minus 8,
Oh,
right? Because I got to
it's
subtract.
Yeah. I guess
Okay. One more of these. Okay, passes through the origin, and it's parallel to.
So we know that the slope is.
So we know the slope is -2, but we need an ordered pair. What's the origin?
0.
Excellent.
because of the origin.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Because y equals negative 2.
It's right there, origin, on that green and white poster. Okay, so what's going to be the equation on the line?
Y equals negative 2.
Just y equals -2x, right?
Because
'Cause there's nothing-
In the 0 and addition.
Yeah, I mean, you could plug in 0, but
Oh yeah, because mine is 0.
It's just y equals negative 2x. Also, if it's 0, 0, that means b is 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
Yes, no?
Oh, yeah.
Because anything of the form 0, comma, a number, this has to be b, no matter what. That's how we define the y-intercept, is that the x is 0. Okay, I think this is the last. Yep. Okay, last part. Determine whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. What do you think? All right, well, okay, what's the slope of the first line for A? That's got a slope of 1. But what's the problem with the second line? It's not in the right form, so we're going to subtract x. So the slope of this line is negative 1. Okay, can't be parallel because they're not exactly the
It
same.
can't be perpendicular because you don't flip it. But if you flip 1 over 1.
If you flip 1 over 1 and make it
Do you
negative.
automatically plug in 1?
Okay, remember the other way we could tell is if you multiply these two together and get negative 1, if the product of these two is negative 1, I know it's perpendicular. Like I did the example yesterday.
They're negative reciprocals.
If I multiply these, do I get negative 1? Then I know they're perpendicular.
Oh, because it's 1x.
So 1 and negative 1?
Don't you know they're perpendicular when they're negative reciprocals?
Yes,
How do you know that m equals 1?
Because it's 1.
because there's no coefficient in front, so that we assume that's always. All right, I'm going to use my abbreviation. Oh, okay. I know, you never know what to bring, especially now that the weather's going to start cooling down. You always need layers. It's hot and cold.
It's cold in here and it's fine around.
I know. Okay, let's look at B. The first equation, do you recognize this is in point slope form?
Yeah.
So what's the slope of this line?
They're parallel.
Yeah, this is 2/5.
You don't even have to do work.
You don't have to do any work because it's already in point slope form. I don't have to solve for y, but if I want to, I can. This one's in slope intercept form, but regardless, I see both of them are 2/5.
What's that number in 2?
5. Sorry, that's a messy 5. I think I need a new battery in my pens because it gets weird. Okay, how about C? All right, the first line is 2, but we have to isolate y in the second equation. So let's see, add 4x. And then make sure you want to divide everything by 2.
Okay, I just had a question about the x.
So what do we get this for this? Parallel? Good. Again, you can write out the word parallel or just use a little symbol. And how about the last two? Slope here is 1/3. Let's solve for the other one. So I'm going to subtract x.
Wait, but how
We have so much homework.
do you like figure out? What else do we have?
What's that? How do we figure out what?
How do you figure out what's parallel?
If they're parallel,
Wouldn't it be neither for this one?
so if the slopes of the two lines are the same, then it's parallel. So I just solved for y, right? But then, okay, what about this one? What did we get here? Here we go.
The first one, why was it perpendicular?
Because they're opposite reciprocals.
Oh, wait,
Okay, these are, they're not the same, and are they opposite reciprocals?
No, they're not.
neither.
They're perpendicular.
It's a trick question.
It was a, well, I did give you the option in the directions.
Yeah, but they look.
Because this would have to be -3, not -1/3.
But
Are we gonna have